Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts. Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
Aloha. Aloha. Ikomo mai, which means welcome. We are in island paradise tonight. I know it's true because I saw palm trees driving into town today. And I saw the fountains over there. So, we're creating this atmosphere. But it is such a joy to finally be speaking at this beautiful venue with these amazing ministers and team. My talk integrates Hawaiian principles, ancient Hawaiian wisdom teachings, actually, from a compendium of poetry and treasures called Alelo Noeau. Let's see if we can get that advanced. That's the Ikomo Mai message. Okay, let's slow down a little. I'm making friends with the, there it is, Alelo Noeau. It's a beautiful book with all these wisdom teachings that have spiritual messages that integrate really well with our unity teachings, as well as other wisdom ideas and thoughts. This is just a beautiful hibiscus that I took a picture of and just wanted to fit on this slide somehow. If you go to Hawaii, you see a lot of those beautiful hibiscus. Anyway, so what I'd like to do with you guys tonight, if you're game, is to share a little bit about the meaning of this particular teaching and then weave in some ideas from our unity superstars, as well as some other people that are wisdom leaders that we've been admiring from a distance for a while. And then I'll wrap it all up. We'll have a little ideas that are shared. And what I hope is that it'll stimulate your thinking for the remainder of the week. When I heard that this was a recharge service, I like that idea. It's an additional charge for you. And sometimes that stimulation is really fun. So I'm going to have to look at my phone, or let's see, let me look at this. I want to read the title. I don't have it committed quite to memory. And I've been practicing this Hawaiian. I like to say it to inject that positive energy into the service. He pono oke Akamai, naka Hana anui. I didn't say it perfectly, but pretty close. I have a coach who helps me with my Hawaiian. But what the important part of the message is the translation, and that's what we're really going to work with tonight. And it means problems happen, right? And so how do we apply our wisdom and skill to deal with those? It's kind of like that beautiful John Mayer song that Keith and the band sang to perfection. That may be the best rendition I've heard after John Mayer, and I think he'd be pleased. I think he'd be very pleased. I'm a real John Mayer fan, let me tell you. So how do we apply these ideas? You see a quote from Albert Einstein, which says that we can't apply the same level of thinking to solve problems as we did in the past. And I really pondered that on the way down here today. I had to drive down from Flower Mound, Texas, if you know where that is. And I thought, well, what does he really mean? I've always thought I knew, but today I had more questions than answers. Is he talking about we can't have wishful thinking? Or maybe he is suggesting that we need to bring more of our heart intelligence to the problems that we're facing. There are a lot of different ideas that came up for me. So I'm going to use my phone because I didn't realize that it would be a little bit challenging to see this. So I'm just going to hang with you this way. So how can we call forth our divine wisdom is what I want you to ponder. How can we more fully embrace all of the innate potential, the sometimes neglected or unused or not fully realized potentialities that we have? Our wisdom is our ability to evaluate, discern, and apply knowledge. Apply what you already know. You know, we all have vast life experiences. Sometimes we want to forget some of our past experiences because maybe they didn't turn out exactly the way we wanted. And yet all of our experiences collectively have moved us to who we are right now in this moment, today. And we're wiser because of them. And they can teach us. Sometimes it may be what we don't want to repeat. Sometimes it may be absolutely knowing that we have incredible resilience to bring into any circumstance. So let's look at Ephesians. We'll start with scripture for some inspiration today. Ephesians 5:26. Make good use of every opportunity that you have. Ponder that for a moment. You know, that fits really well with, again, the message from John Mayer, our new thought teacher in some ways. Make good use of those times that you fall down, that you're questioning what's happening in your life. It's always the right time to look for the opportunity, to look for the nugget of gold, to find the treasure that may be hidden among the chaos or the clutter that sometimes we focus on. It's like those images that I remember from psychology class. And if you looked at it one way, you saw an old woman. Do you remember that picture? And then sometimes it was really hard, but if you looked at it a different way, you saw a beautiful young lady. So what was it? It was both and. And our life experiences can inform us and help us to know more about ourselves and how we can bring our full being into the world. So Rumi, you know, I've gone from Albert Einstein, or I started with John Mayer and now Rumi. I know there's probably a lot of Rumi fans in here. Our 13th century Persian poet, our Sufi mystic, he had some important things to say too about what we can do in the midst of the life events that we all face. And one of the most important messages or takeaways that I find is the idea that sometimes fear makes us move in a certain way, and how to navigate through these obstacles or potholes of life without getting all caught up in fear. Because what does that do for you? When you're in a fearful state, what's happening to you? You're anxious. Yeah, you shut down. How's your concentration? How's your processing? Not as good. So the idea that we don't move the way that fear makes us move is important, and that we can enhance our sense of well-being by relying on those divine qualities. Life can be difficult, would you agree? Yeah, life can be difficult. Sometimes we get frightened. Sometimes we don't want to talk about our uncertainty or our self-doubt. Jean Marie mentioned that I teach a class for UWSI. I teach the self-care class. And that's really a profound spiritual practice that we can embrace to help us move through some of these difficult life situations. Sometimes we feel like life is just throwing too much at us, that it's overwhelming, that we can barely catch our breath and something else shows up. Not just whispering, but screaming or pounding at our door, and we can't run away. Sometimes we are simply stuck. Anybody ever been stuck in a difficult circumstance? Maybe at work, maybe in a relationship, maybe at a transition point of your life, and you were at a road and there were many different options and paths and you didn't know where to go. Sometimes it's possible that people are truly not looking out for your best interest. You know, in 2003, I left what people considered to be a really good job, and for a while, so did I, until I was required to work on Sundays, work a lot of extra hours without receiving any extra compensation. The stress was relentless, but the final realization came on a Good Friday. The state legislature, I worked for the University in North Texas, had declared a holiday. They met late and they told us that we could close the university at noon and everybody could have the rest of the day off. And my boss got mad at me and had a little tantrum because I was leaving to go to church with a friend. She thought I was not taking my job seriously. And I decided it's time for me to move on because I was having high blood pressure episodes and I have low blood pressure. I knew that I was not faring well. Is it easy to make those bold, courageous moves? No. But we have the opportunity to make choices. Now, what happens when we get into this choice-making mode? Sometimes we hear more voices, right? People may have an idea about what our next step should be or what we need to do. And I've been guilty of inviting in a lot of feedback, asking a lot of people, help me, I don't know what to do. You know, maybe it was my minister, maybe it was a therapist, maybe it was my best friend. But sometimes we just get too much noise. But this is our place where we can really become a victim or a victor, where we can really embrace our empowerment, or we can resist that igniting of those divine qualities that we all have. It's a leap of faith, right? And we all have the tools to do it. The choice is ours. So as I was doing some research, I love to dig around in some of the old Unity teachings. I can get lost in reading old information, documents, and I love some of our authors that you don't hear about all the time. Now this I'm going to start with, of course, our beloved Myrtle Fillmore, our Unity co-founder. And I learned more about Wee Wisdom's way. and Myrtle's philosophical and metaphysical wisdom. And when we talked about, or no, I think it was when Karen prayed earlier, this came to mind too. She made a reference to the circle of life, which I'm all caught up in now too, with my daughter having my first grandchild last Wednesday. And it talks about wisdom shows you that love and good's like a circle. It doesn't have corners, that infinite circle of love. It just keeps on going round and round and round forever. And that's how it is, and we'll always have a smooth way. In the ultimate, we have the good that is coming to us and from us and through us. So, to give you a little taste of okay, one more. A little taste of what I call true paradise. That's Waimanalo Beach on the windward side of Oahu. That was my first experience of Hawaii in 2006, when somehow I was led to a VRBO on that beach. And this is the most profound comment by Myrtle that I really hope it resonates with you as much as it does with me. She says, the only way really to know is to become perfectly still, to get away from the outer and from looking for things into the inner quiet where we are alone with wisdom. In the silence, wisdom is given for every need. Every need. And yet, here we are, running around, looking out there, looking for substances or people or books. Now, I love books too, but we're all looking out away rather than delving into our inner world. With this redeeming prayer, there's another old unity document where you see those unity wings up there. The prayer, the communion between God and humans. If we want to express more wisdom, it says, we must establish closer contact with the all-knowing mind through prayer. Move to the inner chamber. And you know, as I read some of these authors, whether it be Martha Smock or Emily Cady or Sue Sicking or some of the old Unity authors that I love, they're all saying essentially the same message. Look to the inner. I think I need to get this message, and maybe it's meant for me to share it with you as well. So Charles Roth, another one of my favorite older Unity ministers and writers, authors, he wrote a book called More Power to You. Not very current, but his message really speaks volumes, considering that we're operating today at a much greater pace than ever before. He says, our knowledge is growing at a fantastic pace, but wisdom, the inner information that brings true satisfaction, love, freedom from the fear of lack, and all the other good things that we all secretly long for, it's really lacking in the world today. He continues, remember, wisdom is gained from within. You know, that initial song that we sang, it talked about from the inside out. I'm not familiar with that song, but I love that part because it reinforces it's an inside job first. And we extract it from our own life experiences, like I alluded to before, through the principles of solitude and introspection. Wow. And by applying the stop, look, and listen technique, which he elaborates more. But basically, we have to turn down the volume. And it may be literally the volume on your TV or your device. You know, we can't always turn down the volume on our children or our spouses or our significant others. Sometimes I do signal to my husband to like lower the volume. He doesn't always appreciate it. And he's probably laughing right now because he's probably watching. But really it's up to us to turn down the volume. And sometimes what I've learned is the more I seek those external distractions, the more I'm running around and trying to entertain myself or find a way to distract myself, the more important it is that I get quiet. The higher the need. So just take a moment to inhale the love and exhale the gratitude. And I'm going to ask you to affirm with me the affirmation on the screen. And I'm going to say it first. I am guided by divine wisdom in every thought, word, and deed. Together, I am guided by divine wisdom in every thought, word, and deed. I believe you have that intention, and I am eager for you to manifest that. That's where we solve our problems. That's where the things that seem so important sometimes shrink in their intensity. They go from overwhelming and enormous to, oh, I can take care of that. Oh, that's just a little speck in my way. What yesterday or last week appeared as a giant boulder. So I want to leave you with some keys. Just imagine that when you pick up one of these keys, that you're taking it to unlock several things. One, your treasure trove of wisdom, so that you can take it out and utilize it and share it to make a difference. And then that you're also using that key to step into your inner sanctuary. So the first key, and I know that we're getting close to the time of Lent, the Lenten season, and maybe some of these will be perfect for your intentions for that time. Number one, allow yourself to seek internal guidance consistently, opening to a broader, more expansive perspective. Imagine that you're on the tallest building in Houston and that you can see everything. You can see your life. You can see the different avenues, the pathways, and you can see the perfect path for you with that more expansive perspective. Second key, set aside moments of solitude and peace in a tranquil setting to listen for the wisdom of the divine. It's feeling like spring today. Last week it felt like winter where I live, so I'm happy with spring. Maybe that'll allow you to get more attuned to nature and be outside more. And finally, the third key, allow yourself to follow your own intuition and wisdom, courageously taking steps, even when others or the voice of fear is trying to dissuade or discourage you. Because you know, when you start really making those courageous decisions and choices, people may try to dissuade you or discourage you. Even something as small as my 30-day cleanse that I did in January. People challenged me. Why would you do that? Why would you give up gluten? Why would you give up coffee? Why would you give up alcohol? What do you even eat? How can you even live? It's like, hey, I've never felt better in my life. And you want me to go back to that old way of showing up in the world? No. We are here to support and encourage each other. You know, the word for family in Hawaiian is ohana, and I am so grateful to be a part of this Unity of Houston ohana and to share with you tonight. And I want to close by reading to you and having you tune in to the Aramaic Lord's Prayer. It's a beautiful prayer. And it's one that when I interned at Unity Church of Hawaii in 2012, that we said every Sunday at all 3 services. So it became really an amazing gift in my life. So if you want to just set your stuff aside and just let the words wash over you. Father, Mother, further and breath of all, create a space inside us and fill it with your presence. Let oneness now prevail. Your one desire flows through ours as energy fills all forms. Give us this day our physical and spiritual nourishment. Untangle the knots of error that bind us as we release others. Don't let appearances make us forgetful of the source, but free us to act appropriately. For age to age, from you comes the glorious harmony of life. May these words be fertile ground from which our future grows. And so it is.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.